All right, so welcome back to our home offices. This is kind of weird after seeing each other in real life.
It's true.
I'm already sad. We have to restart the clock to the countdown for next year's Mantle event, whatever they want to call it. Thought the name TechTonic was pretty good this year.
I liked
Was
that.
good. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
liked
its
that.
own distinct thing from Editions, but still very Mantle.
Yeah,
Yeah. All
it was
right,
fun.
so today we're gonna do, of course, my dog wants to start scratching. Today we're gonna do a little debrief on our time in Toronto. I think mainly Tectonic, because Tim was with us for that. But obviously we could talk about additions. Tina, if there's anything that you want to add. So yeah, it's kind of cool that we had a chance to hang out again. Um, and I thought we would just ask a few questions and debrief on our time. Does that sound
Love
good?
it.
Let's do it.
Rock
All
on.
right. So to start, how do you think the format was this year compared to last year? Like the space and kind of how they went about doing the time together,
Yeah,
the venues, all that.
I can start us off.
Go, Tina.
So, this is not planned, by the way. We're all just, we are not
Yeah.
planning.
Completely unscripted.
Yeah, this is unscripted. Um, okay, I actually liked this event space way better than last year. Last year's I think it was the Drake Hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very confined, and like I remember because we were speaking on the main stage, it was like people would be passing through to like get to other talks because that was like the only way really to get through. So it was just
Yeah.
like it was just more confined. I mean, it was still a super great venue and like so much fun, but I liked this one more because you had parts that were outdoors, parts that were indoors, so like there were moments where you could kind of like get away from everyone a little bit and like just have more breathing room.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really pretty. Like the distillery district in Toronto is such a pretty area. So like the aesthetic was just like so on point because like you had all these really cool shops. Actually, a lot of shops that are on Shopify were like in the location, which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I liked that like the different talk tracks were like, one building and then the other building was right across the street. So I don't know, kind of I don't know, it gave me like academy vibes a little bit. I loved it.
That's cool.
The one
Yeah.
the one thing I didn't like, and like I mean this is a conference thing in general, is that like with Editions, it was very much like business versus tech, right? And it's like if you're in one stream, like that's your stream. Whereas with Tectonic, I did feel like there was a couple where it's like I don't know which talk I want to go to because like
Mhm.
they're applicable. They're like there's different applications, and so like there was some like this is more for agencies and like this is more for um like app partners, but like having the multiple streams, I don't know if it felt like distinct enough with like the topics. So I did feel like, I mean, I'm glad that they recorded everything because we'll be able to watch the talks that we missed. But being able to be like in the live space, I missed being able to like see all of the talks that I would actually want to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to see the recording this year because we didn't have that last year.
Yeah.
And I hear we're going to get it, like, it's going to be well produced. So I'm pretty stoked to find out how the final cut looks. I don't know when that's going to be, though. So I kind of wish that someone had recorded, like, at least parts of our talk so I could, like, get a preview of it. I
Mm.
would say the one thing that I really appreciated this year versus last year was the fact that we had the welcome party, if you will, the night before. So it gave at least Tina and I the opportunity to like have a social event to like say hi to people that we haven't seen all year and like have a drink and it not go like straight into talks where you're like seeing somebody during a talk and like waving to them and interrupting the talk. So I really enjoyed that. I guess like the other part that I really liked was the intimacy. It felt really like you could still run into people. You could still like I don't know, it just had that like summer camp kind of vibe to it, which I
Yeah.
love about going to these things. Versus like Additions really felt like a conference to me this year
Mm.
versus last year.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
herds of cattle everywhere. It was like just a lot. A lot. It was overwhelming in pieces. There was less like hangout opportunities at Editions versus the Mantle event.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
the one drawback that I would say, I think everyone knows what I'm about to say, is that I was freezing. I was cold. So, like, having so much of it outside, I don't know that I would want to do that again. Even during our talk, I was frozen to death. Like, I was literally shaking. So,
Yeah.
that
The
was
weather
kind of
was
an out.
unfortunate this year for sure. Like
It was very
it's
weird.
and like I
End of May.
yes, yeah, like we're and then, like obviously Tim and I are still in Canada, like we don't live too far outside of Toronto and it's still cold out. And this is like June now. This is supposed to be our summer. It's very weird weather, but like it I think one thing I definitely learned this week is to have a backup plan for rain because there were multiple events that like got rained out or like had to downsize because of the rain or like even like I hosted a private event, one night actually after TechTonic and like we had to pivot everything within 24 hours because our initial event was outside. So like there was a lot of weirdness with the weather this year that was unfortunate, but I think it's just like a good note of like, hey, May is like typically a rainy
Yeah.
season in
Yeah.
Canada, so like we should be prepared a little bit more for like colder weather or like lots of rain, unexpected rain to come.
Yeah, I think Friday was the weather that everyone expected to have on Wednesday.
Mhm.
And it's kind of, it's disappointing that it happened like on the last night, but at least it happened on the last night. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, and it's a good thing it didn't like pour on Wednesday because we had to go between buildings sometimes and people would have gotten soaked.
that's
Yeah.
so true.
Or even
So
like the lunch line was outside.
Yeah.
yeah, that was the other thing. I didn't really know that it went further back. So we were kind of just like hanging out mostly in the front for the very until we knew that there was like more options to go back there. I guess you sort of sussed that out, Tim, and went and had lunch where there was less people.
Yeah, I
I
just found a shorter line to get to food, and then on that journey found that there was like a whole seating area back towards
Yeah.
the back of the venue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
somebody said
will.
they actually sat in the Mexican restaurant for lunch, so I was like, ooh, I would have liked that. But
Nice.
then
Oh.
again, we'll get into that, but we had a good lunch table that
Yeah.
day. So
One well,
we'll say.
yeah. Well, yeah, the tectonic lunch was good. One thing I'll definitely say is I was worried about where our location was for our talk because I thought we were like kind of hidden in the back, out of the way, but we weren't, and we were
I don't know.
full.
It was
We were so
packed.
let's
Yeah.
that's a good transition. So let's get into how we think our talk went this year. Like, how did it go for you? And then how do you think that the audience felt about it? Tim, why don't you kick this one off?
Sure. I felt like it went really well. Similar to last year, I felt like we stuck to the talking points that we wanted to cover. And it didn't feel like it felt unscripted, even though we had some talking points. And I'm glad that we left so much time for Q&As at the end because
Yeah.
there were a lot and like probably would have kept going on. I kept checking with Oren to make sure we weren't at time because I felt like there was so many more questions and I didn't want to pull in too many. But I felt like, especially because there were questions that to me is a good signal that like the content that we talked about at the first part of the talk
Yeah.
like resonated, or else like people wouldn't have questions if it was just boring and not useful. So I think for me it felt really natural and it felt like we did have conversation, the three of us, and then as far as I could tell, like it resonated with the audience for sure.
Yeah, I would say I agree with all of those things. I felt like the subject matter was like something that people really wanted, which I'm stoked about because obviously we're really excited about the topic.
Yeah.
So it was nice. I wasn't sure how it was going to be received, and I think people were really into it. The feedback that I got was, I mean, I think we learned our lesson from last year, like not leaving enough room for questions and then
Yeah.
it sort of dropping off and that being our favorite part of the whole talk, I think. So it was nice that we did have some more time to leave room for that. The feedback that I got going into Editions, even like, because we were still there for another 2 days, and I think Tina could probably echo this, is like people loved it. They were like,
Mm.
oh my gosh, you inspired me. Like, I'm ready to hit the ground running, or I'm ready to pick up where I left off. I didn't realize that it was such a powerful tool, but now we're really going to go full force into it. So for me, it was like job well done. Like it really, really hit the notes that I was hoping, because we wanted to inspire the room, and it felt like we had sort of accomplished that. So I was pretty happy about that. And also I feel like we've developed like a brand as a band now. Like I feel like,
Yeah.
when people were giving me compliments, they were giving you guys compliments at the same time. So it was super cool to get that type of feedback, not just on like stuff that I was doing, but also like feedback on what you guys were saying. And they were echoing things that you were saying. Like I was hearing people say like, oh, I'm really going to like move forward with founder-led content, or
Nice.
some of the stuff that Tina was talking about. Like I'm going to download CapCut and really get into like a little bit more polished look to our stuff and take our stuff to another level. So it was neat. I was pretty excited about it. Tina, what do you think?
Yeah. I think Deb's being a bit humble, Tim. She is popular. Like, I was standing with her at Editions, and someone walked up to her and was like, I've been such a long time fan of you, Deb. Like, I just wanted to say
Whoa,
that. Like, I
whoa,
was at your
whoa.
talk last year, and I came this year. Like, she's popular. So,
I would say that the two of you, it's impossible to walk anywhere at a Shopify related event and like go like more than 10 paces without getting stopped.
You
Deb
weren't there
more
to
so than me.
experience it for yourself as well, because you were getting the notoriety as well. You just weren't there to
Yeah.
experience
Yeah, yeah.
it. So,
Yeah.
like I said, I mean, if they invite us back, like we'll get into that. But I mean, it's been huge, I think, for all of our careers in ways that we can't even measure. But like, it's just fun. It's fun to know that we're making an impact on the community, and I'm excited. Like, I'm gonna be watching YouTube like a hawk, and just watching the space on LinkedIn to see like who's actually adopting some of the stuff that we talked about. But
True.
yeah,
Yeah.
Thank you, Mantle.
dude, we
Well, and I think one of the things that I liked about the content that we put together is like I use some of it with some of my clients, and like there's even more now that I can like double down myself. So it's not just do what we say, not what we do. Like I'm actually stoked to like even take more of the stuff that you guys talked about and
Yeah.
apply it to my own clients, because like there's the hard part, and I'm sure all of the people that were at the talk is like, it's like what like where to start, because there's so many things. Even if the clients where I've done like some video, it's like, okay, what next, and like how to keep leveling that up. So
Yeah. That's why I think we were such a good mix together, because like we all are doing video content, but like in very different ways. Like, I'm like the one who's being the face with the videos that I'm doing, whereas like,
yeah.
Deb, like you're like supporting your clients with like getting them to create videos or like helping them with their product videos. And Tim, you're like, founder-led content, like let's go. And those
Yeah.
are two areas that I haven't explored too much. So like I actually, even just like being in our talk, I learned so much from
yeah,
the
Yeah.
two of you as
yeah,
well.
that's what I mean. Yeah,
Yeah, like super exciting, especially like that one tool that you mentioned, Tim, the repurposing one. I'm like, damn, like
Yeah.
I
Spiral dot computer.
I
Yeah,
World
need
on
that.
Computer.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm going to start using CapCut, I think, for the newsletter for the App Collective. So
I
I'm
love
excited
nice.
to start doing that. And then, like, a lot of people came up to me afterwards, and they're like, you know us, you know that we're introverts, you know that we're not going to be like the face of the company. And so, like, using something like Screen Studio is like, you know your audience. And I was like, yep, ICP. Remember last year's talk? So it all
Yeah,
goes back to knowing who you're talking to.
that's actually one thing that you just said, Deb, that I wanted to point out, and I meant to say this during our talk and I forgot, was that like I know like I come off as an extroverted person, but I'm actually very much not like at all. I think like I can turn it on just because I've had practice turning it on, but
Yeah.
like I actually am not extroverted. I'm like super shy. I am like not good at being like thrown in a crowd and like having to like just go make friends with people. Like I love being at home. Like I hate leaving my house, to be honest. So like it's actually like I think that's why like I didn't want people to look at us and be like, "Oh, like they're all like outgoing and like extroverted
Mm.
people," because like
Yeah.
Deb, I know you're introverted too. Tim, I'm pretty sure you're like fairly introverted as
Oh,
well.
I'm very introverted. I hate breaking the ice. Like once I'm in a conversation, then I'll gab, but like
Yes.
I hate the small talk, like figuring out how to break the ice. I am
Yeah.
definitely a homebody. So it's funny that all three of us are like introverts and we're like video content. That's
Yeah,
where
well,
it's
I'm
at.
ambivert. So I actually
Yeah.
like the uncomfortable breaking the ice. Like I love
You
those
are good at
uncomfortable
it.
moments. Like I really
Yeah.
thrive in those moments. However, my social battery just runs straight out. And so
Mhm.
like going to parties and doing night events, like I had a client ask me to do stuff at night and I'm like, "Ugh, I'm done. Like I can't,
Yeah. Just tapped out.
Yeah.
I'm
You
completely
are
tired.
you are good at breaking the ice, Deb. That's why I love going to things with you. Like even the ladies brunch we went to, like you were so good at like pulling everyone into a conversation or like starting a conversation when one was dying down and I was like, all right, take notes, girl. Like you got to learn how to do this like Deb does. But the point is like I didn't want people to like look at us and be like, well, they're extroverted, so like I can't do video content because like that's not actually the case at all. And it's like
No.
the more you practice, the way easier it actually gets. And I actually find it more comfortable than like being in person because I'm just at home on my phone by myself and I can edit out the shit that I don't like.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so I was telling people like that I talked to afterwards is like write a script, you should have a plan. You shouldn't just go in, hit
And
point and
wing
click,
it.
go. You really
Yeah.
need to have like there's a format to even if they're not completely polished, like there is a format to it. You need to introduce the app, explain what it does, and then go into what you're going to be talking about, and then have a CTA at the end. So there's always some kind of like format and plan to what you're doing. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of O's and M's and I don't knows and whatever.
Hmm.
I am interested to see what happens in the space. One of the questions that we got was about like generative video and like creating AI avatars, and it'd be interesting to see how that technology shapes out. Because I've seen like a few all right uses of it, but like if the technology in 6 months is like good enough that like you do one little clip of yourself and then like it can just make the video from your script, like that will like it'll unlock a lot for better or maybe for worse, but it'll
Yeah.
unlock a lot of video content.
Watch this space. We can
Yeah.
uh we could put a pin on it and see. We'll debrief next year and do an update.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So, were there any people that surprised you that you were looking forward to meeting or seeing or anything to do with people?
Do you want to go,
Tina?
Tina?
I feel like Deb's gonna know where I'm taking this.
Oh yeah. I think we have a similar, well, yeah.
Yeah. So the Next Tools group, that's right. Were you thinking the
Yeah.
same thing?
Yeah, man.
So much fun. So it was this team from Italy, Tim, that like
Okay.
Deb just like happened to like be like, "Hey, can we like sit at this table with you?" Because of course she's great at breaking the ice. I never would have done that. So I'm like that person that's like, I'm gonna go sit in the bathroom in a stall so no one
Yeah.
can.
I'll sit by myself. I don't want to ruffle any feathers. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know there was the whole back and there were two open spots where we could stand. And I was like,
Yeah.
Nice.
perfect. That's after we cut people in line, but that's a different
Yeah.
story.
Oops.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, so we're like standing with them and they're like I kind like you just know I'm like they're obviously from Italy, like they've got the accent, like they've got the last name, but like I didn't want to like ask, but then they ended up asking because of like our last names. But then we just bonded so fast and like they were so much fun and then we saw them at the Shopify like, opener party at the office.
Nice.
They
Yeah.
come up to Deb and I and they're like, "Ciao," and they're kissing us on the cheek like as if we're like,
We got a photo with
family.
them. I'll go get it.
Amazing.
Actually, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go get it.
Oh my gosh. And like honestly, I love that because like that's just like how my family is. Like I'm so used to like the double cheek kiss and like saying hello and like they were just so much fun. We got a really good photo with them too. So like
Cool.
I hadn't actually hadn't heard of that team. I love the photo. It's so fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
They
Um
were great.
yeah, I hadn't heard of that team before, and so I'm really, really glad that you went up to them, Deb, because they were
Yeah.
a lot of fun. So they like that's someone who like I'm really looking forward to meeting again at some point in the future.
Well, apparently I have a meeting on the calendar. That's one thing that we didn't tell Tim is
Yeah.
they were like, "Oh, we know who you are," to me. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, whatever." And I'm just like eating my taco, like
Yeah.
going in on the food, like whatever. And he goes, "Look," and he pulls up his tasks on his phone, and it says, "Call Deborah Mecca on a set date."
Amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I
So
was
you're like
like,
on their mind. They're ready to reach out.
Yeah.
"Yeah." I
No,
was like,
seriously,
Amazing.
No, he wasn't just like, I have a task to do this. He was like, I've been meaning to reach out to you for a very long time. Like he's been like
Incredible.
thinking about this for a
I
while.
was like, what
Awesome.
are the odds of that? Like, I actually thought he was just like messing around, like
Yeah.
how people just say stuff. And it was on his phone, like my full name. I was like, holy
Yeah.
crap, with the date. So
It was
Amazing.
fun. I
that
really,
was
really
hilarious.
liked them.
Yeah, so them, I would say, was a huge surprise and just like a vibe in general.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't talk about the clients that I work with, so I don't want to like specify, but like seeing them in real life
Hmm.
was like super cool. Um, they're way more fun like I'm fun on calls with my clients in general. Like my personality is gonna come through. I'm never like too buttoned up, but just like being able to share a drink or like a laugh in
Yeah.
person and like you know the emote. What is that called? Like when you see someone in like 2D or 3D or whatever, it's like their emote, their like facial expressions and
Yeah.
stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
Super cool. I'm trying to think of like, was there anybody that surprised me? Oh, Molly from Lucky Orange.
Yes. That's
Oh, I
like,
didn't see Molly.
yeah.
She was at Editions.
Oh, okay. So if she was at Mantle and I didn't see her, that I would have been sad.
No, I think that was a fail that they didn't go to Mantle, but that was really really cool to see her in real life.
Nice.
Yeah. I saw her
Nice.
at the Western party. I didn't see her at Editions. I saw her at like the Western partner meetup party the night before, and we got a really cute picture with our denim on denim. And that's another team that was like so much fun, and like I think the three of us have all connected with them so much online. We've all been on their podcast, and like it's one of those things that was like this needed to happen. Like we
Yeah.
we
For her
finally
to go.
needed to do this, and I'm
Yeah,
so
I'm
glad
sad
we
that
did.
Sarah didn't go, but like I was texting her the whole time, sending her photos and being like, "You need to go next year. Like this is
Yeah.
insane."
Sean and Sarah next time.
Yeah. Yeah, but they gave me like a really cute sweatshirt. It's upstairs. I would show it to you, but it's really
Nice.
cute. It was so nice of them. So, oh, another surprise was Sweta from Recur Pay. She brought an entire bag filled with stuff for me, because I
Oh,
guess
nice.
my birthday and she couldn't be there. Literally a book, like a t-shirt, this notebook, like a whole, I mean, when I tell you,
Nice.
like an entire bag just filled with all kinds of stuff, I was like, oh, how am I going to bring this home? But it
That's
was
so
really nice.
thoughtful.
It was so nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very.
Um, Last person I will say on my end, Diana.
Yeah.
So
Diana.
Yeah.
I mean, like I always knew she was like so nice and like someone I would get along with, as someone we've connected with on LinkedIn. We comment on each other's stuff.
Yeah.
But when she organized that brunch, like I actually got a chance to like really connect with her in person, and she's so freaking cool. Like
Uh-huh.
honestly, like she's just like
Yeah.
really chill vibes, like more than like I kind of expected. I don't know, maybe it's me, but like when I see like founders or whatever, I have a perception about them a
Hmm.
little bit of like maybe a bit more buttoned up or whatnot. Not that she's not professional, she's super professional, but she was just like really cool.
Yeah.
And then we bonded over the fact that we both play video games. So I was
Yeah.
like,
Nice.
automatically we're friends,
Oh yeah.
obviously. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's someone else who like very, very glad we got to meet. Would love to hang out with her way more, because she's someone who like I really, really felt like I could spend so much time with you and it would never get boring.
Well,
Yeah.
Diana's it's I I've been following her on LinkedIn for a while, but I had never made the connection before that this Diana is the Diana that we met at last year at
She was at a
Preditions.
top. Yeah, she was
Yeah.
at a top.
And it just completely went over my head. And then when she was doing her talk at TechTonic, and like when I saw her name on the schedule, I was like, oh, like that. I didn't realize it was the same Diana, which is
Yeah.
hilarious. For me, I was happy to see Roddy. I'm always glad to see Roddy.
Yeah.
Every time I see him, I'm surprised at how tall he is.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
And then one person I was surprised to meet, actually, there's a guy named Johnny. I can't remember his last name, so forgive me if he hears or sees this, but he was at a company called Demo Ground. I don't know if either of you talked to him or not. They're not an app. They're like a tool for Shopify developers. And he was going kind of like to meet potential clients and like get feedback. I'll send you both the link afterwards, but they have this cool platform where like let's say you have actually he showed me an example from like DownPay, where like they have their little widget that's like, hey, you can get this in like this many payments. To demo it, they have this like special link thing where you can just like throw your URL into the Demo Grounds platform, and it'll like render DownPay's widget on your store without having to install anything, which
Dang.
was very cool. And like there's like huge potential for that to work with like all of the front end apps. So him and I are going to connect this week. But yeah, I was super excited to like just see other apps. Like Mantle has kind of been like, hey, we're a tool for Shopify developers and like everything that they're doing. And then to see like other developers be like, hey, we also have a tool that's specifically for Shopify developers. And he said they're like in the process of trying to like get connected and like integrate with Mantle, which is really cool. So he's someone like I wasn't expecting to see like tools like that present at the event. And so it was really cool to meet him and see their technology.
Very cool. Yeah. Yeah, and I guess Gadget would be in that category as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds
Which
really
Gadget is doing some crazy stuff with their AI builder.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. What were some of your favorite highlights of the week? I think we touched on some of them, but I'm trying to think. Okay, so the brunch for me was huge. We've kind of touched on that a little bit, but just to kind of like bring it home is we decided, so Diana decided to bring a few women together in the ecosystem to go to brunch at Mildred's, if you're familiar with this
The
spot.
pancakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So almost everyone, like half the table, ordered the blueberry compote pancakes that were stacked super high. Those were delicious. So there was like,
Yeah,
yes,
they're so good. Yeah.
so good. Do you have the photo of the group?
I do.
But it was like mostly Shopify app founders. Then there was me, obviously the marketer, and Tina. And then there was the agency from the UK, Pistol.
Underwater Pistol.
Underwater pistol.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a little group of us.
Two from Cleverific
Oh, nice.
was there.
Yep.
And
And
she
then
was
Anne from Design Packs and Lee Chin from Simple Bundles or Freshly Commerce, I guess. And then me and Tina. It was great. And Diana.
Nice. I'd seen Diana posting last week being like, who are the female agency owners and the female app founders and marketers? So
yeah.
this was why.
I'm
Yeah.
so glad she did that because like obviously working in tech, there's a lot of men. A lot, and I'm not saying that in a negative way. Love the men in the space, you know, that we are friends with and everything, but it is nice to like have a moment where you're just with other women and to connect with them and talk to them one-on-one. I really appreciated that she did that, honestly.
Yeah. My favorite moments honestly were always like the just hanging out and having good conversations. Like when you and I went to George the
That was
very
fun.
first night. So we found this speakeasy. I forget the name of it, but it wasn't even open. And it's
Okay.
upstairs of this restaurant, this Michelin restaurant called George, all in caps. And it was a vibe. We sat at the bar, had espresso martinis, and just like
Nice.
had a little chat before the festivities began. And the bartender was badass. So we just like, it was
Yeah.
fun. Like that was another favorite moment for me.
He was like an aspiring actor, and he like had been in an episode of Handmaid's Tale and met
Okay.
Elizabeth Moss and stuff. Like he was telling us all about this and like how she is in person. It was just like not even business related, but just like fun, chill. Like I think this year I felt like I did a better job of balance where like I wasn't just like always on business the whole time. Like I was kind of like, I don't need to talk about business all the time. Like talking with Diane about video games. It's like, let's just connect as humans and like the business
Yeah.
stuff can come later.
Exactly.
Well, I
Like,
think the venue kind of made the opportunity for that, for there to be like more spaces to just like sit or just like hang out versus like when it was so packed last year, I felt like it was harder to have those kinds of conversations because
there
it was
less of that at Editions, though. I will like that's my gripe with Editions.
Right.
It's a little bit larger scale, less areas to like hang out, make friends, like have those like hidden moments of just being a human being. Like, I just felt like I was being interviewed a lot. Like, people would just walk up to me and be like, so how do we work with you? How does this work? And I'm like, not
Yeah.
now. Like, you schedule a call with me and we connect afterwards. Like, we're not
Yeah.
doing this here. My brain
Yeah.
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
I had a lot of like, can I pick your brain sort of
No.
moments where like they stop you, and I'm like, I'm so happy to chat, but like my brain right now is not in the space for a conversation like this. Like let's chat, come up to me, approach me. I love that, but like I'm like, I can't, like, I'm not gonna give you like marketing advice here on the
Yeah.
floor at Editions, because there's just too much stimulation going
That
on.
happened during lunch. I'm like, I'm just trying to eat my lunch right now, and I'm having to give you like the 5-point system of how to grow your app. Like, it was fun, obviously they were nice, but yeah, it's like, I don't want to be working right now. I just want to be eating.
And I have to make business cards for next year. Even if it's just a QR code to like your LinkedIn profile. Like I know
Yeah.
you can like with a couple people I was like, "Oh, like scan my LinkedIn thing and like do it." It's like, "Well, I don't want to have to do that right now. It'd be way easier just be like, "Hey, exchange cards," or like, "Here's my card.
I
You
should
mean
have
Hit
like
done
me
the
up
ones that I
after."
made that I didn't bring, that I left back at home?
Oh no.
And then also I made stickers, also left at home.
Oh, those would have been awesome to just
Yeah.
slap on things and people.
Well, because people kept being like, well, how do we get in contact? I could have just been like,
Yeah.
here you go.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Save me a shit ton of time of trying to like get LinkedIn to scan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of my go-to, is like the moment I kind of hear like I want your advice on this or that, I'm like, here's my LinkedIn. Let's connect and we'll chat after this, because I
Yeah.
Well,
promise
people
you,
were like insisting though. It was a little
Yeah.
like, okay.
you don't want my advice while I'm at a conference, because it's not gonna be top tier when there's like my brain is like, ooh, flashing lights over here, like,
Yeah.
I see someone I know walking past. I'm just not fully there.
I feel like Shopify did a pretty good job at the party the night before of like trying to curate moments of connection versus like working. Like, if you were at the hackathon, you were obviously working, but if you were upstairs in like some of the other areas, they definitely like there was that photo booth thing that we showed you. That was like a fun, hey, let's
Yeah.
just have some
Yeah.
fun together. Like, let's be people.
Yeah. I will say too, I know some people didn't like this, but I actually did like that they split people off between two areas. Like, some people went to the museum, some people were in the office, and the reason why I liked that was because the office was way less packed this
It was
year.
less packed than it was last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
That part. So they got that part right, but I feel like the conference, I'm not saying it was, but I guess going into some of the critique, Tim, that you weren't there for, is like, they had rooms that had capacity for 40 people. And so
Right.
like the lines were really long and they were like cutting people off, and then people were like getting angry. They're like, I flew all the way here to go to this AI thing, and
Can't
how
even get in
dare
the
you
room.
cut me off?
Yeah.
And then they weren't recorded either, so it's not like you could like catch
Oh,
them
no.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I that was gonna be my biggest gripe too. I got into two talks. There were a few I waited in the line for and didn't get in. I really wanted to support our friend Deb, because he was doing a talk, and like
Oh, yeah.
he really wanted us to be in there. So like he wanted me to take a picture of him, and like I didn't even get in, and I felt so bad because he came to our talk at Mantle, and like it was moments like that where it's like, how many people bought tickets? Like, why
Yeah.
would you make a cutoff so small? Like 40 people is a very small limit
Yeah.
for an event like with this many people here. So like that happened to me. I know it happened to a lot of people, and I was like, that's super unfortunate. I actually ended up recording things on my phone, like just voice recording, and then like taking notes and sending it to my clients, because they were like, I really wanted to go to that talk and I didn't get it. And I was like, don't worry, like I've got the notes for you.
Yeah.
But I only did that for two talks because I only got into two of them. So I hardly even got into that many.
This was my talk. So there was like people standing. There were
Wow.
people like sitting on the floor. You can't see them in the picture, but there were like actually people like sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
Standing room only.
Yeah. And then I guess some people just couldn't get in.
Yeah, that just seemed like a bit of poor planning, in my opinion, when you know how many tickets have been sold.
Yeah.
Especially for each track too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I can hear somebody's Slack going
Sorry.
off. That's okay. So I guess we can conclude with this question. unless you have other questions. But if you were asked to come back for a round 3 panel, would you do it? And I guess like the follow-up to that would be, what other content do you think could add value to the room?
Ooh, I would definitely come back. I mean, if it's with the two of you,
Yeah.
if we can do the band volume 3, I would definitely come back. And as far as content, I don't know. I feel like it'll kind of be like, what does the next 9 months look like? Because like there's so much up in the air. Like, you know, we have our different kind of specialties. Like we were laughing about it last week that like, I mean, technically the three of us are competitors, but like it doesn't feel like that at the same time. We all kind of have like our different niche things, and we pass things back and forth. So like I think it would really depend on like what stands out over the next like 6-9 months, because like I mean we could do a whole other talk just about other video content, or we could like focus on, I don't know, a million other things. So like I feel like I don't really know at this point what I would talk about, because there's too many options. And I think it felt when we were starting to plan the talk for this year, it's like we've all been doing video and it kind of lined up over the past like year or so. And so like what is the thing that's going to pop up over the next little bit that's going to stand out? I don't know.
Yeah.
So you have to carve that out.
I know. Yeah, I agree. I was like, man, like so much changes in a month, like a whole year from now. I can't even imagine like where life is going to be with marketing and whatnot and all the tools. So we'll have to see. But if we had to like plan for something like next month, my mind goes towards like how I use AI in like my marketing strategies, processes day to day, because that just seems to be a consistent thing that like people are always really interested in, is like ways to just leverage AI a little bit more. And obviously like I'm pro AI, not writing from scratch. We all agree on that there, but like
Yeah.
just having it be a part of like your efficiency process. So that would be like a really interesting one to me. And then another one that I get asked about a lot too is like the partner marketing track. So like how content fits into partner marketing and like making that whole thing work, you know, building your partners for the marketing things you want to do, like the whole process of idea to execution to follow up. Like that's always been a really big one that like I get asked about a lot too. So like those would be two areas where like my mind goes if we had to do something like next month. But next
Yeah.
year, who knows?
Would you do it though? You would go for round 3?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So yes, on the round 3 for sure. I feel like year 1 we talked the full funnel, like we talked things from like beginning to end and everything in between, which was very broad. So I like the fact that we were like really specific, and it was a very the reason why I wanted to talk about this topic this year was because I felt like the apps weren't leveraging it enough. And I was seeing it as like a really large lever for opportunity in terms of like installs and awareness and all of that. And I was seeing people asking the questions like on Shopify Partner Slack about like the influencer stuff that we had touched on as well. So I just felt like there was a thirst for that information, and also just to like get people to really start to think about it, because
Yeah.
I think blogs, you know, other type of content, different types of marketing, like Shopify ads, like people know these things and they either tried it and it didn't work, or they just don't want to put the concentration into it. And then how do we prove that it's going to work? Like we could prove that what we're doing is working through like, also I like to tie in Mantle somehow, or some
Yeah.
sort of reporting mechanism that makes sense to like, hey, this is why I think it's going to be a good lever for you, because I don't want to recommend something that's like hasn't been proven, or I don't know for a fact. Like, you know, a lot of things that we do, we don't know for sure, right? Like we could say, yes, I think that that's contributing to the bottom line, but how do we then, you know, contribute it back to like this being a huge success without the data, right? And
Yeah.
so like having something like Mantle to tell us like, yes, for a fact, I know for a fact that you are getting installs and they're quality installs and they're increasing your LTV and all the things that it does. So I guess in terms of like next year's content, I would want something to be like that, where it's trackable and that we would feel confident being like, yes, If
Yeah.
you do this, it will work, but you have to be consistent. If you do this, it will work if you, follow these 12 steps or whatever, So I would like to like build off of like the original, like we talked about all these different ideas. Here's another part of that I think we could talk about that I think would be good. What that looks like, I guess we'll have to figure out over the next 12 months, right? We have
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
We have a bit of time.
I'd also love like for people to tell like, people that are subscribers of the App Collective, I'd love for them to reach out to you and say like, would really
This is
love
what I want to hear about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be great.
That would be good. Was there anything else that you thought could be useful to talk about today that we didn't touch on?
I know like more specifically for Editions learnings and everything, like we're gonna be on the Lucky Orange podcast, so people can tune
Nice.
into that for more of like a specific Editions breakdown. That's the only plug I think I will make.
Yeah, and I guess if you're watching this, you're on the App Collective YouTube channel, and then I'm going to be putting it in this week's episode, hopefully, if all goes well. So you'll get the debrief there. If you've made it to all 40 something minutes long, then bless you. We love you. Thank you for committing to the time that it took to get through this. And the band looks forward to another encore because it was fun. We had fun. We hope you had fun too.
Woo.
Peace out.